I'm Kelsey. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing a fancy booktube hat, and today I'm doing a new sort of video for me, and that is a Top 5 Wednesday video. Now, I joined the Top 5 Wednesday Goodreads group, last month maybe, and I've been sort of stalking what the topics are for coming weeks, and I've been looking for one that I really liked that I would want to jump in on. I'm certainly not going to be doing these videos every week. I think it's going to depend a lot on the topics and which ones interest me. I'd like to maybe try to do one a month. We'll see how it goes. But in case you're unaware, Top 5 Wednesday is a Goodreads group. It was originally created by Lainey from the channel Ginger Reads Lainey, but it's currently being moderated by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. I will link the Goodreads group down below if you want to check it out. So this week's topic is books that you want to reread. And I thought this was a particularly good topic for me right now, coming on the heels of the rereadathon earlier this month, which I participated in, and I was realizing, finishing up that week, that there were a lot more books that I really want to reread. So the first book that I have on my list here that I want to reread is here because it was on my TBR for the rereadathon and I didn't get to it. And that is Chalice by Robin McKinley. I reread Robin McKinley's books all the time. This is the only book of hers that I've given 5 stars to that I've only read once, so I need to fix that. I am probably in near future months going to be rereading more Robin McKinley books than just this one, but this is going to be representative of my constant stream of Robin McKinley rereads for now. This is a fantasy novel about a young woman named Mirasol. It's a small community fantasy. Mirasol is a beekeeper and she ends up being the next Chalice of her community, which is basically the second highest ranking official. And it's a magical job, and she does it with her honey and her instincts. She is completely unprepared for the job, and this is a story of her figuring out how to be a magical leader for her community. And that is a challenge because the new master of this community is a returned priest of fire, and it's unclear whether or not that will mean that he's unable to fulfill those duties himself. This is one of Robin McKinley's books that is vaguely Beauty and the Beast-ish without actually being a retelling. Now, the next book I have here is on this list because it is part of a series reread that I started during the rereadathon. During the rereadathon, I read The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett, which is the first in the Tiffany Aching books. I'm planning on continuing with this series with A Hat Full of Sky. I remember liking these first 2 books a little more than the second 2 books, but I will reread all of them. This is the continued adventures of Tiffany Aching, a young witch. It's a sub-series within the Discworld series, but these are for younger readers. I will link the wrap-up for the rereadathon where I discussed the We Free Men, so you can hear all about my thoughts on that reread. The next book I have here is a YA fantasy book that was one of my favorite books for a while in high school, and that is Aria of the Sea by Dia Calhoun. I think this is out of print now, which is really sad, but I reread The Phoenix Dance by the same author a while ago. I'll link whatever wrap-up that was as well. And that's another YA fantasy novel that takes place in the same kingdom as this book, but I remember that this book just was absolutely my favorite thing for a little bit when I was younger, so I would like to reread this one as well. Plus, it has this really just gorgeous cover. The next book I have here is a book that I have mentioned in recent videos, I think, that I want to reread, and that's The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. Now, I'm hopefully going to read some of Beagle's other work before starting this book again. This is the only book of his I've read so far. It's his most famous book, but he has a few other novels and also a lot of short fiction that I haven't read, and he's also got a new book out called Summerlong that really interests me. So I want to see what else he has that I might be interested in, and then I do want to reread this book because every time I pick this book up off my shelf to recommend it, I am just so tempted to sit down right where I am and just start reading the thing. And then the last book I have on this list is, I think, the only one here that isn't fantasy, and that's Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is a sort of atmospheric, romantic, mystery-ish book from, when was it published? Published, I think, in 1938. This is a classic book. It's a first-person narration from a protagonist whose name we never learn, who is, becomes the second wife of this man and moves into his big mansion, and Rebecca is the name of the previous wife, and the mystery is what the heck happened with Rebecca. I read this at some point when I was in college, and since then I have read one of this author's other books. I've read My Cousin Rachel, and I really didn't like that one, so I would like to come back to read this one and hopefully discover that it is in fact as good as I remember it being. So this is my list of top 5 books that I would like to reread at this point. There are many other books that I would also like to reread or I'm planning on rereading, but I think these are some of my highest priorities right now. Of course, there are more Robin McKinley books than this one that I'm planning to reread, and this is part of a series reread, so there will be more of these. But I think these are a pretty representative sample. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll be doing more Top 5 Wednesday videos in the future. Let me know if you have read any of these books, if there's something that you are hankering to reread. Okay, it's been nice talking. That is all. Bye for now.